Now, a new analysis shows that the sixtonon iconic altar stone at the heart of Stonehenge originated from northeastern Scotland rather than southwest Wales. For hundreds of years, Stonehenge has stood as one of history's greatest unsolved stories. But a shocking new discovery has left scientists shocked. And what they've found is far more worse than anyone imagined. Under the old stones and deep within the soil lies evidence that changes everything we thought we knew about its rare existence. Could it be that Stonehenge was hiding a dark and unsettling truth? All along, what was Stonehenge really built for? It's one of the most famous prehistoric monuments in the world and also one of the most mysterious. Why was Stonehenge built in southwest England 5,000 years ago? And why is this new revelation so terrifying? Join us in this video as we reveal the details. The shocking new Stonehenge discovery. Stonehenge, an Old English word meaning stone hanging, is where Stonehenge acquired its name. With two upright pillars and a crossbeam on top, the stones were perceived as resembling medieval gallows. Stonehenge has long been one of the world's greatest mysteries. It is situated in the English countryside and is a circle formed of very huge stones. These stones were placed there thousands of years ago by people who lived long ago, but no one knew why they did it. Some of these stones are extremely heavy, weighing between 50 and 70 tons. This has always made people wonder how they were moved and set in place without modern machines. The mystery grew even bigger when experts discovered that some of the smaller stones, called blue stones, came from Wales, which is over 125 miles away from where Stonehenge stands today. How did people back then move such heavy stones such a long distance? Over the years, people have tried to explain the purpose of Stonehenge. Some thought it was a burial place. Some believed it was for religious ceremonies, and others said it might be an ancient calendar. Recent research suggests that it may have been used as a solar calendar to keep track of days and months. A professor from Bournemouth University studied the monument and found that the large stones called sarsen were carefully arranged to work as a simple calendar. There are 30 stones in the main circle, and each stone may have represented one day of a month. These were grouped into 3 weeks of 10 days each. 12 cycles of 30 days gave 360 same days. The trilithons, the 5 large stones in the center, were probably meant to symbolize 5 additional days at the end of the year for a total of 365 days. In order to maintain the accuracy of the calendar, 4 unique stones on the outside edge might have been utilized to add 1 extra day every 4 years. This indicates that Stonehenge's builders used it to commemorate the 365th 25-day solar year. They would have been better able to schedule when to grow crops, celebrate holidays, and perform religious rites if they had such a calendar. Another interesting finding concerns sound. Experts from the University of Salford built a small but precise replica of Stonehenge to study how sound worked inside the building. They discovered that while outside, sounds were muffled by the stones. Voices and music were amplified inside the circle. Those inside could easily hear the people standing in the center, while those outside could barely hear anything. When hit, some stones even produced ringing sounds that sounded like musical instruments. This shows that ceremonies where sound and music were important may have taken place at Stonehenge. For a long time, many people believed magical stories about Stonehenge. According to a well-known tale, the stones were magically transported from Ireland by the wizard Merlin. According to some legends, the stones were initially placed by giants and then transported to England by Merlin. People were unable to comprehend how ancient builders moved such massive stones without the help of contemporary machinery. Therefore, these tales persisted for hundreds of years. The true answer, however, is now provided by modern science. When scientists examined a stone known as the New All Boulder, they discovered that it resembled stones from Craig Rosie Phelan in Wales. According to tests, these stones were stolen by humans circa 3000 CE than being carried by glaciers as some had thought. This means the builders of Stonehenge transported the stones, themselves using tools and methods available at that time like wooden, sledges and ropes. Moving such heavy stones over long distances was an incredible job, showing that these people were skilled, organized, and determined. This new discovery finally proves that Stonehenge was built by human effort, not magic or nature. This discovery hints at a harsher truth. Stonehenge may not just be a marvel of skill, but the result of immense human struggle and sacrifice, which is worse than anyone could ever imagine. If everything we thought we knew about Stonehenge's builders was wrong, then what shocking truth have researchers just uncovered about how it really came to be? Let's find out. Stonehenge, the hidden truth behind its construction. People worried for years why it was built and the origin of its stones. Scientists have learned something unexpected that challenges everything we know about this location. The altar stone, the big stone in the middle of Stonehenge, is the subject of the finding. This altar stone was long thought to have come from southwest Wales. However, recent studies demonstrate that this is untrue. Rather, the stone originated in the Orcadian basin, which encompasses Caithness, Orcan, and Moray Firth in northeastern Scotland. This finding is important because it changes the story of how Stonehenge was built. In the past, a lot of scientists thought that the big stones that encircle Stonehenge came from somewhere in southern England. They also thought Wales was the source of the smaller blue stones. The altar stone was thought to be one of these Welsh stones. Scientists now understand, however, that it is entirely different. The sort of rock used to make the altar stone is similar to rocks found in remote parts of Scotland. The discovery was published in the journal Nature by a team of researchers led by a geologist. They made this discovery by analyzing the minerals in the altar stone and comparing them with rocks from other parts of the United Kingdom. The altar's composition was found to match rocks from Scotland's far north, not Wales as previously thought, and it was found to be very old. As we now know, Stonehenge's construction was much more challenging than we had thought. Moving a stone that weighed about 6 tons from Scotland to Salisbury Plain in southern England thousands of years ago would have been very challenging. Experts believe that people at that time must have used boats to move the stone along the sea and then used sledges or rollers to move it over land. Doing this would have taken a lot of planning, strong teamwork, and advanced skills for that time. This also shows that the people who built Stonehenge were not simple or isolated. Instead, they were well organized and connected with other groups across Britain. This means that communities from Scotland, Wales, and England worked together, or at least had strong links. They were part of a large network that shared ideas and maybe even worked on big projects together. One big question is why they chose this stone from so far away. It does not seem to be only for practical reasons. Experts think the altar stone must have had a special meaning for the builders. Maybe it had spiritual or symbolic importance. Its central spot in Stonehenge shows that it played an important role in ceremonies and rites. What we believe about life in Britain 5,000 years ago is also changed by the discovery. It shows these individuals were intelligent, talented, and capable of planning big tasks involving partnership across great distances. They were not just farmers or hunters living in small groups. They had the knowledge and social connections to build something that still amazes the world today. As scientists continue to study Stonehenge, we keep learning new things that make the mystery even deeper. Stonehenge was more than just a local monument. As we now know, it was the outcome of planning and work done throughout Britain. As a result, it ranks among the greatest accomplishments of antiquity and represents the inventiveness and solidarity of the primitive people. How did archaeologists first uncover the clues that revealed who built this ancient monument? And what role did this mysterious Bell Beaker people play in its story? Let's learn more. Early excavations and the Bell Beaker people. Stonehenge has always been a mystery, but the first real clues came in the 1800s when archaeologists began digging around the site. During these early excavations, they found a few items such as burnt pieces of wood, animal antlers, and even some Roman pottery. At first, these discoveries did not seem very special. They did not give a clear answer about who built Stonehenge or why it was made. For many years, the origin of this great stone circle remained unknown. Then, in 1862, something surprising changed everything. A researcher took a closer look at the objects that were found and made an important discovery. Among the remains, he noticed something unusual: cremated human bones. To most people, this might not seem very important, but to him, it was a big clue. He knew that cremation had not been common in this area for a very long time, not since the Bronze Age. This meant that the people who built Stonehenge were likely from that time period. The Bronze Age in Britain was a period that lasted from around 2500 BC to 700 BC. It was a time when people started to use metal tools instead of only stone. These tools were much stronger and changed the way people worked. The researchers' discovery of cremated remains suggested that Stonehenge was much older than many had thought before. It also hinted that an ancient group of people had a very important reason for building it. Later research connected this site to a group called the Bell Beaker people. They arrived in the area around 2400 BC. These people got their name from a special type of pot they used. The pots were shaped like upside-down bells and were often beautifully decorated. But the Bell Beaker people were important for another reason. Too, they were some of the first to make bronze, a new metal created by mixing tin and copper. This discovery changed everything because bronze tools were much better than stone ones. When archaeologists found bronze tools near Stonehenge, it was clear that the Beaker people played a role in building or shaping the monument. These tools showed that advanced technology for that time had been used. It also showed that Stonehenge was part of a culture that was growing and learning new skills. The evidence of cremation and bronze tools gave experts a much clearer picture. Stonehenge was not built in the time of the Romans as some once believed, or by unknown magical builders. It was built by real people during the Bronze Age, a time of change and progress. The Bell Beaker people were likely part of this process, leaving behind one of the most famous monuments in the world. If early excavations revealed who might have built Stonehenge, what shocking truth could the stones themselves hold about their past life in another place? Let's learn more. Stonehenge's hidden past, the reused stones from a distant monument. Experts have taken a new look at Stonehenge's history thanks to new research, and what they found is shocking. For a long time, people thought Stonehenge was built using just stones from close areas. Researchers now know, however, that some of these stones were really reused from a much earlier stone circle that was formerly located in Wales. While digging at a location known as Wanmon in the Preseli Hills, archaeologists found this. At this site, they found empty holes arranged in a circle, which shows that a stone circle had once been there. As is always the case with archaeology, there are still big questions to be answered, such as why. Hundreds of years after stones were first put in place here, these holes match the size and shape of the famous blue stones that now stand inside Stonehenge. This means the stones from Wanmon were probably taken out and moved to the Salisbury Plain where Stonehenge is today. What makes this finding so important is the huge distance between the two places. Wanmon is about 150 miles away from Stonehenge. Thousands of years ago, moving stones over such a large region would have been very challenging. It proves that these stones were more than just building materials. They were distinctive and likely held great meaning for the individuals who used them. Experts claim that the stones were transferred because they were deemed sacred due to their great spiritual or cultural significance. This discovery also changes how people think about Stonehenge. It most likely belonged to a larger, more connected sacred area. A lot of pieces, stone circles, and burial sites may have been shared over this region. Stonehenge might have acted as the main point and most important part of the whole network in this larger context. These results shows that Stonehenge was more than just a built effort. It had importance for a lot generations. It was probably part of a much bigger and more connected sacred area. This area might have had many monuments, stone circles, and burial sites spread across the land. In this bigger picture, Stonehenge may have been the centerpiece, the most important part of the whole network. These findings show that Stonehenge was not just a building project, but something that carried meaning for many generations. It was likely a place of ceremony, tradition, and shared beliefs that brought people together from different regions. If the stones tell a story of travel and reuse, what secrets might still lie buried beneath the earth? Stay tuned for more. Uncovering the building stages and the secrets beneath Stonehenge. Stonehenge was not built in just one day. It took many years and was done in different stages. And the reason they're important is because they're the people who built Stonehenge 2 meters that way. Experts believe the first work started about 5,000 years ago, around 30,000 BCE. At that time, people dug a big circular ditch and made an earth wall around it. Inside this circle, they placed holes called Aubrey holes. These holes may have held wooden posts or even stones. This was the very first part of Stonehenge. The second big stage came hundreds of years later, around 2500 BCE. During this time, builders brought in the large stones that we see today. There were two types of stones, big sarsen stones and smaller blue stones. The sarsen stones were huge and heavy, some weighing as much as 25 tons. The builders had to move them from far away, which was an incredible job without modern machines. They arranged these stones in a circle and also set some up in pairs with a stone laid across the top, making what we call a trilithon. This part gave Stonehenge its famous look. Even after this stage, the work did not stop. Over many years, the smaller blue stones were moved around several times. People kept making changes, adding new features, and adjusting the layout. This shows that Stonehenge stayed important for a very long time and was not just built and left alone. In modern times, new technology has helped us learn more about the area. The Stonehenge Hidden Landscape Project has discovered many things underground that we could not see before. Scientists used special scanning tools and found a huge prehistoric landscape around Stonehenge. There were burial mounds, deep pits, and even other monuments that were buried and hidden from view. They also found signs of wooden buildings and paths that people may have used for ceremonies or processions. These discoveries tell us that Stonehenge was not standing all by itself. It was part of a big and carefully planned sacred area. People came there not just to look at the stones, but to take part in important rituals. This new information helps us understand that Stonehenge was at the heart of a large spiritual and cultural world that existed thousands of years ago. If the reused stones revealed a story no one expected, what does that mean for all the old theories about who built Stonehenge in the first place? Let's find out. The myths and mistaken theories of Stonehenge's builders. For many years, people had many wrong ideas about who built Stonehenge. Long ago, some believed giants were the ones who put up the stones. This came from old stories and myths, but there was no real proof to support it. Later, some people thought the Romans had built Stonehenge. They believed this because the Romans were great builders of roads and big buildings. But when experts studied the stones, they found out that Stonehenge was much older than the Roman times. So that idea was wrong, too. Another wrong theory was that the Druids, the ancient Celtic priests, built Stonehenge. This idea became very popular in the 1700s and 1800s because the monument looked like a place for religious ceremonies. However, scientists later proved that Stonehenge was built thousands of years before the Druids lived in Britain. These ideas lasted for a long time because people in the past did not have the tools to know the true age of the stones. All they could do was guess, and a lot of their assumptions were incorrect. Experts have discovered that Stonehenge was constructed long before these. Groups lived according to contemporary technologies like radiocarbon dating. Our understanding of the creators of this incredible place has evolved as a result of these discoveries. Building Stonehenge would have demanded incredible effort and sacrifice. No matter who the builders were, moving stones that weighed several tons without modern tools meant countless hours of labor, harsh physical strain, and possibly the loss of lives during the process. Whole societies might have given hundreds of years to the task, and resources like food, tools, and labor would have been limited to their breaking point. This shows that building Stonehenge was more than just a project. It was a goal so serious that people were prepared to risk everything and go through hard times in order to see it through to the end. How do you feel about the mystery surrounding Stonehenge? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.